All right, let's talk about movies. And we're going to start off with the movie you guys saw that I didn't get a chance to see, and that's Luck. And we're talking about it's opening this Friday. It's from Apple Original Films, Jane Fonda, Whoopi Goldberg, Eva, no, I can't even say her last name, but Simon Pegg, Lou Rel Howery. So, guys, let's talk about that.
Janelle, go ahead.
It was, it was, you can tell it was a John Lasseter film. It very much had Pixar handprints on it, you know, but it's way too convoluted for kids. It does have a good message behind it once you get there, but for it is much like the theme of the rest of the movies we will probably be discussing. It's a lot. It's a lot that doesn't. It's just not very clear. And I think for kids, they're going to tune out. They're just going to want the meat of the story, and it comes way too late, and probably maybe too late for little kids.
Tony?
Agreed. I mean, it's a really cute original idea, you know, on the meaning of luck and unlucky and where it comes from. I did really like that take on it. However, it just, like she said, it's so exposition heavy and there's so much story to it and it's very intricate. And look, for us to appreciate, we can understand that that's not a problem, but for its target audience, for kids, it's going to be something that goes over their heads, or they're asking their parents for, oh, what does this mean? Blah, blah, blah. Or they're just watching the colors on the screen. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's kind of where we're at with animation. I feel like, and a lot of this summer's animated films are exposition heavy, and they've kind of gotten away from what makes them animated films for the most part. There can be adult animated films, there can be teen animated films and child animated films, but the ones that are aimed at children are just they're just trying to be too smart. And that's exactly what Luck is doing right now. It's just gonna be hard for kids to follow, but like we were talking about the voice cast, Eva Noblezada, Simon Pegg. I love Simon Pegg personally, one of my favorite actors. That starts way back from the Shaun of the Dead days. I loved him in this role. And I was questioning it, early throughout with the accent, but they did make it all make sense in a beautiful way. Jane Fonda, Whoopi Goldberg, they kind of seemed like they mailed it in. I didn't really get that much from them, but the two leads I thought gave the most. I don't want to tank, the movie to tank or anything like that. You can stream it on Apple TV Plus beginning this Friday. But again, it's going to be one that's hit or miss. There'll probably be an audience as we walked out that there were some kids that really, really enjoyed it. And I'm sure there will be some, but I think as a mass, the target audience is kind of going to be.
How would you rate it, Tony? How would you rate it?
I'm going to go 3 out of 5. That's kind of, like I said, it's been the theme of the animated films this year. They're very meh. Again, I do love animated films, but this is one that's just, it tries to be too smart at times. But I really appreciated, one of the things out of the most was the passion project behind it, because you could tell it came from a place of love. One of the main focal points of the film is about adoption, and not young adoption, older teen, older child, to where the will they, won't they, or am I going to end up in a home ever? Is a really touching kind of backdrop to the whole luck unlucky story. So I do hate to torpedo someone's passion. However, there's just too much going on here for the target audience.
Janelle?
Well, I am going to probably be the torpedoer of a few of these movies. I would have, honestly, I can't rate it for kids. I'm sure like you're going to get some kids that are just going to enjoy it because it's an animated film. Some kids have no rhyme or reason for the things they enjoy. As an adult who's going to be, if you're forced to sit there and watch it, you're going to be like, and it's just not, to me, a kids movie should be what Minions was. It was a no thinking, ridiculous, let's have fun. I would give it a 2 out of 5 just as an adult. The mouths are actually kind of distracting.
Yeah.
They don't move or move. It's yeah. So no, I think it will resonate with some kids in those circumstances, and I think that's good for them. I just think for most kids watching it, they're just going to be like, you almost need a roadmap to figure out the instructions on how to solve this puzzle for what's happening in the movie. So
All right, so 2-3, so 2.5 for Luck, produced by Skydance Animation. John Lasseter, you dropped the ball on this one. Speaking of dropping the ball, let's move on to something a little bit more interesting, a little more ethical, if I can say, or ethnical more than anything else. It hits a particular audience. Of course, you know I'm talking about, right, guys? You know what we're talking about. Easter Sunday. Easter Sunday with Joe Coy, Eugene Cordero, Tia Carrera, actually surprised me, Lou Diamond Phillips. Let's get started with Janelle. What did you think about Easter Sunday?
I did not like it. I didn't think it was funny. I thought 3/4 of the acting was painful. I was shocked that it was only 90 minutes. I was pretty sure that if I would definitely put it on if I was on my deathbed, because I was sure it lasted a week and a half. It's clunky. It has, you want to talk about a movie that has no direction. You don't know if it's a heist movie, it's a family movie, if it's a love story, if it's a comedy. It has too many directions. None of them come together. It's not cohesive. I was not a fan.
Tony?
Janelle is not alone. It is a very overlong sitcom episode, and it starts out from the beginning. You know, we get some stand-up comedy that opens the credits, if you will, and that doesn't hit. And I don't know if it was too quiet or what, but it just was flat in a very quiet theater, and I was like, oh boy, we're in for one. So you know, was I wrong? No, I was not. Joe Coy, I'm sorry, he's not a leading man. He was trying to act throughout the entire thing, and I'm sure he was trying to be authentic to his roots, but he was trying to act. And there's one scene in particular, you know, between him and his son, and something happens, and his son goes, "Dad, I was worried about you," and I swear, it seems like he was just reading it off a script with no emotion.
Tony actually delivered the line better than what the kid did.
It was painfully unfunny, and I hate to tear apart someone's work, but it has to be done on this, because this is not something the general audience needs to see, and if they do, they're going to be disappointed. The acting was subpar. I will say the supporting cast was so much better than the focal point of the cast. Tiffany Haddish had a couple funny lines thrown in there. Couple other surprises, we'll leave at that. But for what it was a good representation of Filipino culture, and it's important for them to have that. But there was something so much more that could have been done with this. And as a massive J.H. Chandrasekhar fan and all of Broken Lizard, I don't know what his goal was here. I hope this doesn't deter him from getting back at it. I've loved his previous efforts, or some of them, but this is just not it.
You're right. Speaking of Super Troopers, Dukes of Hazzard, which I enjoyed at Beer Fest, yeah, this does not hit it. So as Michael Jackson says, Janelle, Tony, you are not alone. I did not get this movie at all. It was like, what is going on here? So they were trying to do, hey, I got to help my brother out because the gangsters are after him because he didn't follow what we're supposed to do here. Hey, my son doesn't love me because I'm never around enough. My mom is upset with me because I'm not around enough. The food looked great. Tiffany Haddish was a lot of fun. Sia Tierra was interesting. That was very interesting. But you're right. It was pretty much of a movie. So, okay, I'm going to be the first one to go ahead and give it a rating just to get things started. I give it maybe a 2.5 to get it started. Janelle, you're up next.
Oh boy.
That about sums it up too.
Yeah, like I honestly, I don't even think I can give it a 1. Like I'm sorry. Like, I think it's not about having different ethnicities represented. We were discussing Miss Marvel does a great job of showing you a completely different side of Americana life through another ethnicity. With a right cast, right writing, you can do it. This was not done right. I can't even. It's a 0.
Tony?
I went 1.5, and I'll tell you why. First of all, it tried to copycat the formula that Crazy Rich Asians did a few years ago. And look, that's what this is. It's cultural representation, and they deserve that. There's no question. But as a film, like, it's not outside of that culture. Because I'm sure, I had a Filipino friend actually reach out to me. It was like, "Hey, what do you think of it?" And I just, they're gonna look at this like, "Oh yeah, our family's like that, ha ha, this that." But other than that, there's just nothing there. And there's actually one thing in particular I want to talk about. There's a side character which we don't see too much of. We get like a 2-minute clip of, and he was supposed to be this certain have this certain career, and the dynamic was just laughable. And I don't know if that was intended or if it was something that's like, hey, we just need this person to fill in. And for you fans of Super Troopers, it is a familiar face. But that kind of, there's just so much just aimless direction, like Janelle said, that this is getting a 1.5 for me.
Sounds like it's a 2. That's what it sounds like.
It sounds like it's a 1.
Yeah, it sounds like a 1. Okay. Ladies,
Y'all you're gonna set me out there like that, but that's okay. That's good. It wasn't good.
Oh yeah,
so
I know.
we'll give it a 1.5. We'll give it a 1.5. Bottom line, we'll give it a 1.5. So Jay, you got to do a better job. Don't hire Ken Chung to write a story for you anymore. Let's move along now and get a little bit faster pace and jump on the Bullet Train, starring, of course, Brad Pitt. He's in it. Joey King, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Brian Tyree Henry. It was Fast, it was Furious. And speaking of Fast and Furious, Janelle, what did you think of Bullet Train?
I thought this is an example of chaos that has a purpose and comes together at the end. At the beginning, you are wondering, where is this going? And there's no way that they're going to bring all these people and tie this into one pretty little knot. But I will tell you that down to the water bottle, they tie it all together. It is brilliantly done. It is a perfect Friday night movie. It is action, explosions, it's ridiculousness. It has Deadpool, John Wick all over it. It's very much a David Leitch movie. It's chaos, but it's wonderfully organized chaos. And the actors are great. Some of the cameos that you're not aware of that surprise you, fantastic. There were a couple that, especially one who was on the train for a while, that they used at one point. His ridiculousness, loved it. Gosh, Brian Tyree, so good. So, like, it can't be overstated how good he is. And Brad Pitt, I think he's hit a point where he'll be 60 next year. He's loving this. He's kicked back. He's relaxed. He's having fun. He's really relaxing into this role of just hit me with whatever you got, and I'm just going to have a good time with it. So I loved it.
Tony?
That makes 2 of us. Hey, you can't win them all, obviously. But this week, 4 films coming out. Half of them are good, half of them are not. But hey, this was fantastic. I've been wanting to see this again since we left the theater. I cannot wait to watch it again. It's a bloody, brutal, nonstop thrill ride, full of action, wild characters. The characters, like she stated, they're fantastic. They're well written. We get a little bit of backstory here and there, but it's just the performances. Brian Tyree Henry steals the show, in my opinion. His, use of Thomas the Tank Engine is one of the greatest things in pop culture this year. Leave it at that for now. Aaron Taylor Johnson's on board. This guy there's a future as a villain without question, because he is phenomenal. Zazie Beetz, Michael Shannon, they're all, they're all great, for those who've seen the trailers. However, Brad Pitt is just phenomenal. I mean, they couldn't have been a better person cast, because it doesn't take itself seriously. It knows exactly what it is. And he just excels in the role. There's twists and turns that you'll see coming, you won't see coming. And like Janelle said, it's so convoluted and twisted and all over the place, but it's brought together beautifully. and it's all set to the backdrop of the meaning of fate and how we all interpret things differently. There's a great message at its core, but it just makes you sit back, relax, and enjoy. It doesn't really make you overthink anything, but it is a perfect summer blockbuster. I can't recommend it enough, honestly.
Yeah, I have to agree with both of you on it. David Leitch, director of Deadpool 2, did a great job with this. You're right. Brad Pitt is like, come on, baby, bring it on. I'm ready for it. Whatever you want, I'm ready for it. And I really enjoyed in his seriousness, especially with his son, Hiroyuki Sanada, the swordsman. That's right, from The Last Samurai. I love to see him in this movie. Sandra Bullock, I took me a minute to actually realize that's her voice. That's Sandra Bullock. And at the end of the movie, there she is, Sandra Bullock, which took me back to the other movie she was in, of course, with Brad Pitt. And who was the other guy? What was his name? He also had a cameo in this movie too. Real quick. Oh yeah.
Don't say it.
Is this a sex thing? I love that whole thing. Just saying that. Is this a sex thing? You're gonna love Bullet Train. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with Bullet Train. I give Bullet Train 5 out of 5. It was a great movie. It was fast paced. You're right. You didn't know what to expect. At first, I thought it was going to be serious, and it turned out to be a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, according to the rep, I had the loudest laugh of anybody in the theater. So, Tony, what did you think?
5 out of 5 as well. I mean, this is why you go to the movies, to be thoroughly entertained, to enjoy yourself, and to have fun. This is one I'm trying to get my friends to go see it. There hasn't been a film like this since Top Gun Maverick this summer. You know, different caliber, of course. You know, one's going to win more awards than the other, but this is one you want to experience with your closest people to you. So much fun, nonstop, great surprises, like we talked about. And for those that are curious, the trailers really do undersell it. It's essentially Deadpool meets John Wick meets Shoot 'em Up meets Smoking Aces. It's a beautiful combination of all of those. I absolutely loved it. So much fun.
Janelle?
Yeah, I'd have to give it a 5 out of 5. And as somebody who was sitting next to you, I will concur. You did laugh through the entire film. And it's hard not to. It's it's aside from the lightheart, and I don't say the lightheartedness, but just the ease of the movie from, you know, the explosions and it's not too serious. The writing was so good. The lines delivered were so good. And it was just good. It was 5 out of 5.
Yep, 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5 for Bullet Train. Be careful of little girls crying with little backpacks. You never know what's going on.
Mesmerizing.
Hey, Joey King, keep it up.
Man, definitely.